So, lovely to meet you, and thank you for appearing on the first episode of the podcast for Hotel Tech Talk. We wanted a podcast around tech, emerging tech, speaking to leaders in companies that are offering tech, but also general managers, all the way up to owners of hospitality companies. So, really what I want to talk to you about today is your insight into hotel tech, the journey of you, and the journey of Journey, ironically. But first, talk to me about the offices. So this is the second time I've been here. This is kindly where you've allowed us to film today. And I love the fact that it's not your general office, it's a little bit quirky.
Well, we kind of grew into this office really. We started off just, it's now called Paradise. There's a little glass box downstairs, which is now a meeting room with sand on the floor and sort of Maldivian sort of water villas in the background, which we call Paradise. But that was where we actually started when we, back 14, 15 years ago now. And we've just grown into this building really. We like to be a little bit different. We didn't want to kind of go with the typical sort of corporate, clinical, sort of white office space that you see everywhere else. We wanted somewhere where our team could come and enjoy working, feel relaxed, want to come to work, socialise with colleagues as well as work with colleagues, and that's, I feel that's what we've got. It's kind of a bit of an industrial warehouse type sort of vibe going on, and completely unexpected from outside. When you pull up, you wouldn't necessarily know what we've got inside when you come through the door, if you like. So it's a bit of a TARDIS, but yeah, we love it.
I think I like the fact that you feel the personality when you come into the building, which a lot of, especially software companies in the UK, feel overly corporate, a bit lifeless when you come into the property.
Yeah, great. Yeah, not for us. We just, we've always kind of, I guess we just be ourselves, just be ourselves. We're all, I always think technology is an interesting space, but we're all human beings dealing with other human beings. So let's just, don't let technology get in the way. It's still very much a people business. We often say that, yes, we build technology, but it's all powered by people, and we're definitely a people first business here.
So before Journey came along, tell me a little bit about where you were at that time and what gap you feel you identified in the market.
Yeah, no worries. So it was an interesting. It's going to happen a lot this, but it was an interesting journey to get to Journey. But we were a full service digital agency looking after lots of different sectors. So we were looking after oil and gas businesses, brands like Oxford University. We worked with some Premiership football clubs. We worked with some big law firms. We worked with a whole plethora of different business types. And I think we were always ambitious. We wanted to scale and grow, and I always believe when using a professional service, whatever that may be, they're the experts and that's what you pay for, and you expect them to know more about your business than yourself, for example. That's the advice and the consultancy that you're paying for. And I think when we worked in so many sectors, that became challenging, talking to lots of different clients, and luckily I've never had too many dealings with big law firms and gone through too many legal cases. So we didn't fully understand and appreciate all the nuances of that space. So new business was challenging. We wanted to be experts in a field, and at the time we had I think it was 3 hotels that we worked with, and what became very apparent was that we really enjoyed working with them. Right? Hospitality is a great space, full of great people. We got great results for those clients, and they seemed thirsty for more and more of our services. It was like they didn't really. It felt like they were very underserved in the marketplace. So we kind of sat down as a team and we just kind of said, actually, hospitality could be really interesting, particularly hotels. Let's have a look and see what's going on in the market. So we couldn't really see any major competitors in the UK, 1 or 2, but nothing of any huge substance. And then I always look to the US for inspiration or sometimes what's going to come next, because often what starts over there comes over here. And then I saw a couple of big brands have just exited, and there was loads of disruption going on. Lots of new tech startups coming out, lots of new consultants and specialist agencies looking after hospitality, in particular hotels. So it became clear that there was lots of disruption. That suited the type of agency we were. We were innovators and challengers and wanted to kind of push boundaries of the norm effectively, and kind of non-conform to the traditional agency model, and it felt like a disruptive marketplace was good for us to enter. So that's what we did. We jumped in. We rebranded as Journey at that time, and we did nothing but hotels ever since.
And talk to me a bit about the name Journey. Where did the name Journey come from?
Oh yeah, well, unfortunately nothing too special, but I was literally just sat in my office on the other side of this wall actually at the time, and when we made the decision that hotels was where we wanted to play, I was just talking about kind of like, guest journeys, and in my head I was thinking guest journeys and, website user journeys, and I was like, journey. And just, I remember writing down a bit of paper. I came back into the room and spoke to some of my colleagues and said, like, what about journey? And they were like, yeah, journey. And that was it.
That's great.
Yeah, that was it. Simple as that.
And you mentioned something that I've seen myself firsthand. So when I moved from retail to hospitality, I was shocked at that point of time how far technology was behind retail, but also how any of the software providers were all stateside and didn't really understand the UK market, and there was no one to support during UK hours. So presumably that's a gap you saw as well.
In the world of hospitality, every second counts. When systems fail, frustration builds. When printers stop, service slows. When guests disconnect, your reputation suffers. And when there's no one to call, that's where Hotel IT Company comes in, delivering specialist IT support for hotels and spas. Contact us today or visit our website, hotelitcompany.co.uk for more details.
Yeah, definitely. The first thing we spotted was, the whole industry was a little bit underserviced in lots of areas, whether that be, digital marketing and also technology. We talk a lot about retail now, retail and fintech, how advanced they are in comparison to where hotel tech is effectively. I'm pleased to say it's starting to catch up, and could be quite interesting with things like AI. We might be some really early adopters and maybe be more advanced than some of the industries we're talking about now.
And in terms of the early days, so you rebranded to Journey, presumably you had your original team that were together then. What were the early challenges, or now with the experience you've got now, is there anything you look back on and go, we should have done that slightly different at the beginning?
Yeah, good question. So, early days, our sole purpose was to help hotels drive more direct business. Back then, our clients had sometimes, up to 80% reliance on third parties to bring them their business. So Booking.com, Expedia, and so on. So really, it was really understanding why are hotels in this position? I can't think of many other industries, if any, where they rely on one or two third parties to effectively drive all of their revenue in their business. I found it quite bizarre. So we really the challenge at the time was becoming experts in hotels, and experts in how users book and buy hotel rooms, holidays, etc. But once we found that secret, we became a little bit unstoppable. Really, we really did find a way of we at the time we called it the Journey way of how prospective guests would search and book hotels, and our business built really successfully off the back of that. Would I change anything? I'm never one to look back and think, should I, shouldn't I? Because that's led us to the path where we are today, and I'm really happy with our place today. Early days, I thought it would be really good for us to recruit people from within the industry into our business. And initially that was challenging. We found it took a certain type of character to transition from working within the hotel space into what we call sort of agency side back then. And we had a couple of examples, and it just didn't work out. It was a very different shift for them to go from working on one property, one brand, to several at the same time, and some could make that transition. So that would be the only thing. I think particularly with the agency where we first started, that was a little bit more challenging. just because they don't always have the knowledge that, agencies are always kind of at the cutting edge of innovation, pushing the boundaries. We invest lots in L&D to make sure that, we're always at the cutting edge of digital. Hotels, unfortunately, just don't have that resource to be able to afford some of their team to be able to learn at that pace. So maybe that was challenging. As we move more into technology and our software play, hoteliers bring in understanding all the nuances and all the challenges, and particularly the operational challenges, because we're kind of B2B to C in terms of what we do. We sell to hotels B2B, so we have B2B users, but we also provide booking engine technology that will, it's white label, sits on the hotel website, but will be interacted with by their consumers. So I think that operational knowledge that hoteliers bring is really, really critical to our success today. Yeah.
And in terms of back when you started, the technology that was around, did you expect? Obviously, you can't predict future technology, but did you expect the hospitality technology landscape back then to look how it looks today with the introduction of AI and other things coming in?
No, I had no idea about AI back then, so I had no idea the transformation that the space will go through. I guess I always hoped the industry would catch up, but I also did see that as the opportunity, because I could see so many gaps, still do. They're getting filled quicker now, but back then when we set out, there was many an opportunity and many gaps. So I actually saw that as quite an exciting time for us, because we were a very nimble, ambitious, young business that wanted to grow and solve some of these problems. So I still reflect sometimes. I still can't quite believe the industry was where it was. It's much better. We've still got so far to go, though, to compete with or to sit alongside the likes of the retail space, as you know. So.
And then moving forward a bit, you then got to the stage of acquiring Premier Spa. Obviously a product I already knew well. Mm-hmm. I just wondered what the rationale was behind acquiring Premier Spa, and how you could see that fitting into the existing tech stack that you had and products you offered. Yeah,
so I guess I'll take it back a little bit just to kind of give you a bit more of a story of how we got to where we got to. So we've been going about 15 years, and for the first 10 years we were a full service digital agency, right? And our whole kind of existence was helping hotels acquire more guests directly on their own channels, and we did that really successfully. And I guess, like every business, we sat back and looked, how could we improve? What could we do to increase conversion? Are there channels that we haven't discovered where these guests may be hiding? How could we improve what we were doing? And I think we got to a point where we realised that actually it was at the point, yes, we did a great job of acquiring prospective guests and getting a high return on ad spend. We built beautiful conversion-led websites, but it was at the point, this convergence of kind of like the work we were doing and where it led into someone else's technology, where we realised that this is really clunky. This doesn't quite do the job it should do, and we didn't really have any control, because it was all through various other third parties. We could change a little bit maybe of the UI, but not much. So we decided at that point that let's move into technology. Let's start to solve this problem. We had some very talented engineers. We definitely weren't short of ambition, and we gained so much insight and knowledge over the 10 years of understanding the buying journey of guests and the challenges that they face with their current tech stack, that we really felt that we could make a difference. But we decided to enter the market with, dip our toe in, so to speak. So the first piece of software we developed for the space was our gift voucher platform. And at the time there was a major player in the market that pretty much dominated, and we just felt that we could disrupt that and offer a better product, maybe at a better price, and and that's what we did. And that product was called Gifted, which I believe now is UK's leading gift voucher platform in the hotel space, used by all the premium brands in the space. So we then moved on to looking at booking technology. So I think it was 2019, when we decided that the user journey that a guest goes on, or a buying journey to book a stay today, is crazy compared to other markets. Just to give you a bit of an idea, if I went to book a stay at a luxury hotel, I would hopefully find it through one of our paid ads, and I'd go onto the website and I was like, perfect, this looks great, I'm going to take my wife away for an anniversary break, and this looks just what we want. It's got a spa, it's got nice restaurants, great. So I press book now, up would come booking calendar with dates and prices per night. I'm thinking, okay, great, that all looks good. Click on the dates, and I'm thinking, right, I need to book the spa, because if we get there and the spa's full, the wife's going to kill me. How do I book a spa? And
we've all been there, right?
Oh yeah, many a time. So I come out of the room booking engine, and then I have to go into a separate piece of technology to, if they had it, to try and piece together a spa. And then I'm a foodie, so they've got 2 restaurants, and I thought, okay, I'll eat in the bistro one night, and I'll eat in the fine dining restaurant on our anniversary night. How do I book that? So I come out of said spa booking engine, and I'd then go into Open Table, Res Diary, 7 Room, whatever it may be. Again, put my dates in and try and piece together my stay. And then I'm thinking, well, okay, whilst the wife's in the spa, I might sneak in a round of golf. How do I do that? Separate booking again. And because I'm a romantic guy, I'm going to buy some gifts for the room, bottle of champagne, some spa products, whatever. And again, arguably a separate transaction. So, I'm nearly at 5 or 6 separate individual checkouts and payments to book one stay.
Very fragmented.
Oh, crazy. Yeah, so clearly the reality is no one really does that. But what they do is then phone the hotel, and the poor old reservations team at the hotel have to go into 5 or 6 separate back-end management systems to try and piece together that stay as well. So, we were at a point where I was like, this is a terrible experience for a potential guest or a booker, and a really terrible experience for the operational team at the hotel.
I find it amazing as well how many hotels are still doing that as well.
Oh yeah. And this is clearly not just a UK problem. This is like a global problem. This exists everywhere and has been deemed acceptable. And I think that's where we were. So at the time we had a couple of booking widgets. We had one for vouchers and one for something else, and we were adding to this fragmented thing. And it just didn't sit well with me. My general belief is when you build technology, it's to solve problems, not add to it. So that was where we came up with the concept of the original brief for the team in 2019 was, we need to build Shopify hotels. We need to enable hotels to be able to allow their guests to book or buy anything they have to offer, not just a room, but all of the ancillary products and services they offer. So that was what we set about doing. We knew that operational technology was, often ran through the veins of the building. It was a very difficult thing for people to be able to extract. So we didn't want to interfere with any of the operational technology. So we wanted to build something like a layer that sat on top of their existing tech stack. So it didn't interrupt their operations, but transformed the guest experience and the booking, direct bookings, and clearly the average booking value, would shoot up because the ability to buy all of these things in a single transaction. In order to surface inventory at the front end, you need the integrations with all the major management systems, which we have. But at the time, there was only one really spa management system, Premier Software, which had and still has roughly 60-65% market share in the UK. We partnered with them, and they were our supply of inventory for spas. And then I heard they were potentially on the market or looking to go on the market, and it made sense for us to go in and make that acquisition. They were the key player, dominant player in the UK, 30 odd years of experience. Their feature set and functionality is second to none. The depth of their technology and their knowledge of the spa industry was unbelievable. Actually, still is to this day. There's still people in the business that have been there for the full 30 years or so. So it made a lot of sense commercially, but we also saw a huge opportunity because we also knew that wellness and sort of the experience economy was on an upward trend, and we knew that this was going to get more and more important in the hotel tech stack. That's why we made the acquisition, and very pleased we did. It's served us really well.
And I think you mentioning about the acquiring a spa platform, and it's probably something quite relevant that you mentioned, there were not many spa platforms on the market. So as of today, you're now moving forward to where you are today as a business. You've obviously got that as your spa product, but then you've got integrations to many PMS platforms as well.
Yep.
Do you think there'll be a point where you'll look at having a PMS alongside that, or are you happy with these integrations to several partners? Or
Yeah, we often get asked, but yeah, I have no desire at all to go into the property management space. None at all. So for me, we're all about helping hotels drive more revenue. We actually call our platform Hospitality Performance Platform. We're all geared to help hotels drive more direct business, increase their total revenue, and give a much better guest experience. And we do that through three products effectively. So we have what we call Market, which is our digital marketing platform, helping acquire new guests. We have our Book product, which is a unified all-in-one booking engine, enabling guests to be able to book everything they want to do in a single transaction, a single basket. And then we have Manage, which is our spa management system. But it's much more than just a spa management system. It goes on to help hotels manage their experiences. We generally have a saying within the business that if you can't manage it, you can't monetize it, and I think that's the difference. We often call it an EMS, an experience management system, which sits alongside a PMS. PMSs are all centered around the room, and EMS is all centered around experiences, almost everything but the room, effectively.
I like that terminology.
Yes, yeah. So that's what we've got, and I really, I can see the, I think we saw a stat recently, which is, by 2030, 1 in 3 travellers will choose a hotel based on its wellness and spa offering. So we can see where that trend is going, and in order for hotels to operate at that level, they need an experience management system.
This podcast is brought to you by Hotel IT Company. We're more than just a managed service provider. We're the IT partner that truly understands the unique demands of hotels and spas. While other firms clock off at 5, we're still on duty. Because in hospitality, the guest experience never stops, and neither do we. Hotel IT Company. We're there when everyone else has gone home.
So going back to where you are today, I think anyone can go on your website and really see the benefits. I think your website is great at showing the benefits of the booking engine and how that product looks. One of the things that I liked about Journey in terms of the booking flow is how it's native to the browser. It isn't an app, but yet it feels like an app. It feels easy to use, but the buttons are nice along the bottom, whereas there's a lot of, especially in hotel space, a lot of booking engines where you're there zooming in on a little button, zooming out. It's not user friendly at all. So you end up, if you want to book online, you need to turn a computer on, whereas yours is very mobile friendly. What kind of percentage are you seeing of people booking on a mobile phone compared to traditionally on a computer?
Yeah, it's huge now actually. So I feel like I've kind of gone through this number over the last 10 years, and it's grown and grown and grown. But 75% of all bookings now are on mobile devices using our booking engine. So it's pretty significant. I mean, if I go back, well, even maybe 5, 6, 7 years, it was, arguably like 40 to 50% of your traffic would be on a mobile, but people used to revert back to a desktop to make the booking. Whereas now I think all that's changed. And the whole consumer behaviours have changed, not just because of our booking engine, but I think just generally, we're all glued to our mobiles, and everything's so much more interactive on there now.
I think it's a generational thing, isn't it? So one of the things I've noticed when I'm working with staff members, definitely younger staff members, will always send an email or send a message, don't want to speak on the phone to anyone. And I suppose it's hotels that are reliant on a reservations team to answer the phone. There's a demographic of the market now that doesn't want to speak to someone on the phone.
No, I completely agree. And I think the whole phone thing is interesting. I think the reason most people phone up a hotel is because they can't do what they need to do online. Nobody really wants to go through the pain and the time it takes to phone someone and try and piece together a stay. They'd much rather do it online in their own time, maybe late in the evening when reservations teams aren't there, for example. And hotels really do need to make sure that they allow their guests to be able to what we call self-serve. I think we're everywhere you go now, the ability to be able to take care of things without having to interact with a human or complicated machines is upon us.
I think I spoke to one of your team last week, and they said an interesting point that one of your customers has gone so far that they've turned phone bookings off completely, and now they only take bookings on the website.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think that's just having the industry is so used to traditional ways of doing things that I would implore every hotelier to have the courage and confidence just to do things differently. You don't have to do things the way it's always been done. And I think the way it's always been done is often due to not having the technology to enable them to do things differently. And I think we're in a position now where we've got clients who turn off OTAs, they don't need them anymore, turn off telephone bookings. And I always use an analogy in retail. When was the last time you phoned up Next or Selfridges or John Lewis to buy a pair of jeans? Never happens, is it? Never. Has anyone ever phoned Amazon before? No. Because you can do everything.
Have they even got a phone?
I don't think so. Yeah. So you can do it all online, and we just we really do as an industry need to keep looking at what retail is doing and just follow. Retail is a much bigger industry, and billions get spent online all day every day. Hoteliers and retailers, most of the business happens online, whether that's through an OTA online or direct on your hotel website. So, but we need to change our way we think, so why not turn off or make your phone number harder to find? And I think the instance you're talking about, they also did something else. Their telephone answering message encouraged people to say that our best rates are found online on our website, and hey presto, their direct bookings shoot up.
I like the idea of that, because one of the topics that comes to mind a lot is the amount of hoteliers that don't invest money into technology, and they think by not investing money into technology they think they're saving money, but it's, in my view, is a false economy, because they're normally paying for extra manpower elsewhere to get jobs done, and they are also missing opportunities from not investing in technology, which, like you said, if you're pushing people to the phones, they think there's no cost associated because they've already got this reservations team. But the reservations team might be huge because the amount of calls they're having to take, especially around Black Friday, etc.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I've met single hotels that have 16 people in their reservations call centre, they call it, which is crazy in today's world. You just clearly don't need that. And yeah, you're completely right that if we gave people the ability to be able to book and self-serve and do everything they want to online, you wouldn't obviously have the amount of inbound telephone calls. And that doesn't mean you don't need those staff, but those staff can be repurposed to give people a much better experience when they arrive at the property. So there's lots of what we call soft cost benefits by the industry is already finds it challenging from a staffing perspective. It is short staffed a lot of the time, but yet we're tying up all these people in a non-customer facing environment where they just don't need to be there. Technology can solve all those problems. You're way better investing in some technology, free those people up to look after your guests when they arrive at property. And the other big one is, do you know how hard it is to for people who aren't necessarily trained in sales to be able to ask a potential guest if they want to book this or buy this extra or do that? But online it's a click of a button. It's much easier for a guest to be able to just click a button, add things to a basket, than go through some dialogue with a reservations member.
I've also found the issue with reservations teams as a whole. Yes, they do a fantastic job, but there's a lot of data for them to remember. If they've got more than one property, if they're selling spa treatments, understanding everything about, it's a lot of information to expect team members to retain on a department that generally has a high turnover as well. And then the hidden cost of re-recruiting and training these roles when, like you said, the technology is there to actually do that. I wanted to jump on quickly. What is your proudest achievement so far?
Oh yeah, okay. So I had a similar question recently, and I did have to reflect a little bit. So I'm not one for look. I'm a typical entrepreneur, so I'm always looking forward. Okay, I'm always looking at what's next. I tend not to reflect too much. But we recently had our annual strategy day, which was a great day, and we had all the team there. And I think when I was on stage at the start talking to everyone, I kind of realised that there was 150 people in the room, and I kind of realised how much we've grown over the last 3 years. It's 40% year on year every year for the last 3 years, which is some really great growth, and that was all due to the people that were in that room, and that's the bit I'm proud of the most is the team we built. We've got so much knowledge and expertise in our space that I would challenge anyone to find a better, more qualified team of people in a room at the same time. So I think the team is the proudest moment for me. We're by no way finished in terms of what we want to do and our ambitions of what we want to go on and achieve, but that is only possible with people. So
I actually like that comment, and it fits perfectly. So with the business that I'm working with at the moment, Hotel IT Company, one of the things, if you look on the website, where we've got why we are different, is we say we put people first, whether that's people we work with, staff members. We're all about people, and we believe results are delivered by people. And we also have a comment to say that a lot of the clients that we work with become friends along the way. So I like the fact that what you're trying to do in the message actually is pretty similar, and I suppose it's working in hospitality industry. It's hospitable, and there's a lot of companies coming into the industry that don't understand it, that are not.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. You're right. Yeah, it is. As I said earlier on, the industry is full of great people, and we're lucky we get to interact with those all day, every day. But one of the things I like most about our team is that they genuinely really do care about the success of our client's business. And we put so much effort in and go above and beyond all the time just to make sure that all the little optimizations we can make, whether it be just be changing a simple image or sharing some insights and data and benchmarking kind of data with our clients to help them make better informed decisions, it literally can transform businesses. We had a business a while ago where the owner phoned and was almost in tears at the turnaround that he'd received in the last 12 months using our product and services. And so you start to really understand the impact you can have on people's lives and business. So it's really rewarding.
That probably feeds into a question that I had already lined up, but I was speaking to a couple of your team members, and they told me a story about one of your clients where you didn't just help them with the technology, you actually helped them change the market and demographic of their customers. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting. I said, sometimes you meet hotels who just kind of do what they've always done, and clearly the saying is do what you've always done, you're always going to get the same results, and that's often what happens. So in order to make a step change in that business and really grow its occupancy, its revenue and its direct business, there was other things that we looked after with them. So we looked at their brand positioning, we looked at their commercial strategy and their revenue management, just to try and understand, and their distribution channels, really try and understand where they could capture guests that they weren't kind of in front of today, so 40 odd miles outside of where they were, for example, where people would travel to the hotel, and that really was their limit, where people, their guests would come from. But by changing the brand positioning, by changing their distribution channels, by executing on digital marketing strategies, whether it be social or Google, etc., where they hadn't done before, we were able to almost double that radius, and obviously double arguably the potential audiences and their revenue and their occupancy did shoot up.
I think that's really interesting, and I think that's probably a takeaway that people will take away from this, that they do get stuck in a cycle where they think, well, that is their business, and they're almost scared to let go of what they've done before.
Yep.
What I would also be keen to know, and obviously I know some of it might be confidential and you don't want to share at this stage, but what is your long-term vision that you have at the moment for Journey, on where do you want it to go next?
So for us now, we're one of the UK market leaders now, and we're still very unique in terms of, I think we're probably still one of the only people to offer this kind of unified all-in-one booking engine, and we want to take that to new markets now. So we're currently expanding into Italy, Spain, Ireland, and UAE, and we want more hotels around the world to experience what the success that some of our UK clients have had in terms of growth and profitability.
And then in terms of AI, obviously the topic that everyone's talking about at the moment, just keen to know a little bit about how you think AI is going to affect hospitality, and if you have any thoughts on how properties are using it or not using it at the minute, or any concerns around if they are using it in the wrong way or if the data is secure.
Yeah, no real concerns over whether they're using it in the wrong way. I think there'll be many a business and many a person using AI in the wrong way today, but that's part of everyone kind of jumping in and adopting new ways of work. So I implore everyone not to worry about that and just kind of get stuck in and start using it. Not massively used in the hotel space just yet. I think you've got some of the big tech brands and big players in the space talking lots about it. I do think that the travel and sort of hotel hospitality space will be one of the biggest and earliest adopters and shift to AI more than some other verticals in terms of how consumers will search and find, because it's a complex booking journey and process, finding the right hotel or the right travel arrangements.
So, someone did mention to me the other week, one of my former colleagues, a great point, and he told me the percentage, I forgot what it is, of the increase of people searching for where to go on ChatGPT or another AI rather than going to Google or Booking.com, and they were using the AI method to find what property to go to next in what area.
Yeah, very much. I mean, I think I use it several times a day now. It's become part of my normal kind of sort of working routine, how I use AI. And I think even with Google, for example, we all know that Gemini gives you information before you often get to paid ads now. So sometimes people don't even make any clicks after they're doing their initial searches because they get their answer straight away from Gemini at the top of the search. So I think that the whole behaviours of how people find things and research and search things is going to change drastically. And I'm hoping the hotel are at the front of that. I'm hoping they adopt and utilise the power of what it could be, because it can transform in a business, in an industry that's already challenged with staffing issues. It's a natural tool to turn to fill some of those gaps.
And I think it's one of the things that I've looked at. So my concerns around it are people using the free account and not the business account, not understanding that it isn't ring fenced if they're using the free account. I also still see a lot of people using it like Google and don't realise it can do much more. I think there is a lack of training sometimes around AI and how the teams can get more benefit out of it. Especially teams like marketing teams, I've really seen how it can really help them with their whole year's worth of planning on social and all things that you wouldn't think. And I had an interesting conversation with someone from a HR department, and they now said that actually one of the things they're looking for when they hire office staff is making sure that they've got experience of using AI, and that's one of the key skills that they're now looking for. And then going back to concerns, I think I am seeing a lot of non-UK businesses that are doing things like chat bots, and they're saying it uses AI, and then when you look behind it, I do worry that hotels are buying into these thinking they're using AI, and when you look, it's literally just answer-based questions. It's not actually using AI. So there's some companies throwing around the terms AI in a very loose manner.
Yeah, there's loads. I mean, chatbots have been around for forever, really, so for a long time anyway. So, there's lots of cases where people are using AI and using it for marketing purposes to capture business and that sort of stuff. But, I think, there's definitely lots of education that needs to happen. I would implore everyone to kind of really get to grips with agentic AI and start, surfacing agents. Talking about HR, there's one of the big HR platforms actually treats agents as members of the team in HR platforms now, which I find quite fascinating. So I think we're starting to see more on that become just part of day to day, because it can automate so many workflows, and in the hospitality space, there's so many manual processes, so many things they have to do, where they have to find data from over there, move it onto this system, then do that and put that into accounts, and all of that can just be automated, the whole thing. And again, saving time and sometimes reducing human error, because having to do that all day, every day when it's really busy, as well as serving guests that come to the front desk, things happen, and that can unfortunately then sometimes lead to a worse guest experience.
In the world of hospitality, every second counts. When systems fail, frustration builds. When printers stop, service slows. When guests disconnect, your reputation suffers. And when there's no one to call. That's where Hotel IT Company comes in, delivering specialist IT support for hotels and spas. Contact us today or visit our website, hotelitcompany.co.uk, for more details.
I think it takes me back to a funny story. So a colleague who I've worked with in the past, they implemented AI for me into a business and gave them a bit of free rein to implement it in their own way, their own style. And I loved the fact that the approach was, we're going to create an AI bot for each department. So it was Jenny in finance, and they all had a name. So each department then had an additional member of staff who was actually an AI bot. Yeah. And it did reduce some of the barriers of people who were scared of using technology. Actually, as soon as you gave it a name, they trusted it more.
Very, very interesting. I mean, we're actually probably doing something similar with one of our teams who called a new sort of chatbot after herself. But I think the other areas where AI can is surfacing data for people. So the hotel industry sat on so much data, but really don't use it that well. It's because it's all sat in these big systems, and again, very fragmented. So I'm trying to piece something together to give some insights into a particular market space or how a particular department is doing is challenging. Whereas AI can do that all day, every day for you. So I think it will really help provide better MI to make better decisions for hotels as well.
So you mentioned retail. Mm-hmm. Retail operate on high turnover, but they have very little customer data compared to hospitality. Mm-hmm. Hospitality know from previous guests what rooms they normally like to stay in, what restaurants they like to stay in, what treatments they like in a spa, whether they put golf. And my concern is how many hotels there are that have this data and do nothing with it to help future sales and improve guest experience.
Yeah, fascinating one. So there's so many, and I could talk a lot about this subject, but there's a few points of a guest kind of journey and stay that you have to effectively sell. So you have at point of booking, where you try and capture as much of that revenue as possible and try and capture as much of the ancillary spend and allow guests to be able to book their own stay and itinerary and so on. You then have post-booking but pre-stay as an opportunity, where you maybe do upgrades or offer them things that they didn't book at the point of booking. You then have in-stay opportunities, which might be last-minute availability in a restaurant or spa or whatever. And then you have post-stay. Something retail do way better than we do is they encourage guests to spend again, whether that's through loyalty or through good marketing to get them to go back and buy more of their products. Hotels don't do that because they don't often have access to the data. So again, another sort of big underserviced opportunity in our space is CRM. Gets kind of batted around quite a lot, that word, and means very different things to different types of tech providers. But in terms of true CRM, there's a handful that do it, and hotels need to utilise that, where it integrates with all their tech stack and takes all that data out, deduplicates it, because often you get different data profiles. If you eat in the restaurant, that's Mr. Bullingham's in there. If you're staying in the hotel, it's Mr. Bullingham, spa, so you've got 3 or 4 different data profiles. So it starts to deduplicate and merge those together. Then you get a really accurate picture of, I'd love to say to a hotel, do you know who your number one guest is? Who's your biggest spender? They won't know. Do you know who your top 10 is? They just won't know, but you should know. You know, a lot of retail businesses will know who are their biggest spenders and how often they visit and so on.
Well, on that, I was speaking to a hotel the other week, and they couldn't tell me the percentage of guests that was new guests or repeat bookers.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't tell me the percentage split because they had the data, but they had no way to pull it out the system or see it.
Yeah.
And I thought, how would you market if you don't know the amount of repeat guests and the amount of new customer acquisition?
Yeah, no, completely agree. And you know, there's numerous times I receive emails from different retailers that I bought from wishing me happy birthday or inviting me back to go and do this, or you bought this last time, this is our new range. Hoteliers just don't communicate in that way, and that's partly because they don't know how to surface that data. You know, but they should. You know, invite me to come and have a meal for my birthday in 2 weeks' time and have a glass of prosecco on us, or whatever the message may be. But they need to do much more of that. And I think you know, there's lots of other examples within you know, within the hotel environment where CRM could do so much for, and things like transforming the retail experience that a guest has to encounter during a spa visit, for example. You know, you'll have a massage, you go and sit in the relaxation area. Often the therapist will come over and start trying to sell said products. You know, I'm trying to relax in the relaxation area. She's a spa therapist thinking I'm not really comfortable selling to you, but that is the only way they can do it. It's just not a good experience. But what should happen is I should leave the relaxation area, and when I leave the spa, 3 hours later or the following day, I get an email saying, "Hey Simon, hope you enjoyed your massage yesterday. Here's the products that Sarah used. Click here to buy them," and you know, like a normal retail experience. But again, all of that needs tying up with data.
I think that also, the bit that hoteliers don't see is how that actually doesn't take away from the human element. It actually frees up their team to give a better guest experience because they're not worrying about all these processes and picking up a tablet or writing a note. So then the experience actually improves.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I mean, you know, experience isn't always about human engagement. It's just not. Sometimes it's about making things easy, making things simple, convenience, all of those other areas. I mean, I don't think we'll ever move away from what we call the art of hospitality in terms of, you know, that people first service that the hotel industry does so well. But it could be enhanced by automating all the things like that to save humans having to do it.
Interesting, going back to Journey's story, obviously, you said about growth and the size Journey is now. How do you find it now? Do you see Journey as a corporate business? And if so, how do you keep the culture to stay agile and the team feeling part of the business?
Yeah, no, we're definitely not a corporate, you know, we're not a startup either. You know, I would probably describe Journey as more of a scale up, effectively. You know, we're scaling, we're growing, and I think that's probably the fun bit for me because, you know, we're constantly innovating, we're constantly uncovering opportunities and challenges that hotels have and solving those problems, which I like. And you know, again, just going back to, you know, the people side of the business, you know, that's what's helped us get to this stage, and those people help us, you know, continue. So our culture is probably our biggest USP in terms of how we operate as a business and how we look after our team and how we treat our colleagues.
I've got 2 questions to wrap up. Out of that conversation, if there was one thing that hotel owners and operators could take away from this podcast, what would be the one thing you want them to take away and remember about Journey? It's a tricky question.
Yeah, it's a good trick question, yeah.
I think it is a tricky question.
It's very hard for me not to default into sales mode. So look, I think I would implore every hotelier to start thinking like a retailer. Start to think about how you retail, not just what you've always sold, as in rooms, but think about retailing, you know, experience. Think about how you can monetize every moment. You know, that's what we do in Journey. We help hotels monetize every moment, and there's so many hidden opportunities to make money within hotels. They just need to surface it. They need to be able to manage that inventory and obviously make that bookable online. But there are so many hidden revenue opportunities. I think hoteliers must leave so much revenue on the table. But instead of focusing on kind of, you know, trying to cut costs out of the business, start focusing on where they can make money. There are so many hidden opportunities of making money in hotels. They just need to spot them.
Perfect. One more question. Is there any leader in technology or leader in any property who you would like to see on a future podcast that we do?
Yes, okay, yeah, good question. So I had breakfast with one of our clients, Beaverbrook, a guy called George. And George is the GM there. I'm going to say George is the MD there as well, just in case he is the MD, just so you can edit that accordingly. But and I had the most fascinating conversation with George around AI, and I have to say he was probably, at the time I said, George, you need to be kind of talking about this more to your peers. I said, there's many a hotelier that does not talk about AI like you do. Don't keep it under wraps. And it actually really kind of made me walk away from that breakfast really infused about where hotels are starting to think. So George was talking about how they use AI within their business, how he uses AI in his personal life, and the opportunities it provides. And he was talking about it really passionately. So
And thank you for appearing, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon in the future.
No
Thank
worries.
you for appearing on the first episode of Hotel Tech Talk.
My pleasure. Thank you.